Hey guys, I'm back in front of the camera, trying to share as much as I can about progress going on here with my commercial pilot license. Off the last video, I said that we'd been moving away from doing theory work and then going into what we love to do best with flying. So I don't know if you've been watching some of the other videos I've been posting on YouTube, but the last three, I think, have been, if you were watching them, you're probably thinking, what is this guy doing? It looks like he's just having way too much fun flying around the country. And that's essentially what we've been doing. But the reason for doing it is to build our command hours or pilot in command hours, going towards the total of 70, which we need to accumulate over the course of the integrated training course, which is the CPL program that we're doing at the moment. So to give you a little bit of context on why we have to go away and do our pilot and command hours, as I've mentioned before, I'm doing mine through an integrated school out at Bankstown, and that means that we have to have a total amount of flight time as a pilot of 140 hours, and pilot and command total hours needs to be 70. As the program worked, it started off with the first 2 months were essentially our recreational pilot license, where we learned the very basics of flying, so on and so forth, doing circuits, basic instruction with our instructors, and then our first solo and some other, solo work. In those first 2 months, I accrued 10 pilot and command hours. The next 2 months were doing our private pilot license, and those two, much the same. We had lessons with instructors, and then also solo hours, which were our own pilot and command hours, which we built up. And that was again around about 10 and a half, I think I racked up. So on top of those 10 blocks in the first 4 months of the integrated training course, we also did dual flight, so with instructors, and then each of the 2 flight tests, so recreational pilot license flight test, and then also the private pilot license flight test. They were additional hours that added on top of the integrated course. So now, after those first 4 months of the program, we moved into, like I'd explained before, our commercial part. And how that's structured with our school is it goes theory, practical, theory, practical, theory, practical until it ends. The first months with theory, like I said last time, this month just gone, was command building, which is essentially pilot and command flying around the country. And coming into it, I was actually a little bit worried that we might not be able to fly away and see the country and really sort of test out our skills because of the COVID-19, state restrictions and isolation restrictions. But I don't know if we got kissed on the dick by an angel or whatever, but as we were moving into this module of studying, they relaxed the restrictions and we were able to do some pretty awesome flyaways. So the first flight that I did was actually a bit of a funny one, and I posted a video on it, but I'll give you the brief overview and then you can go and check the video out yourself if you like to. I took a friend of mine who's actually an aspiring pilot out to go fly down from Bankstown to Shell Harbour, and then we we're going to continue south. I knew at the start of the day there was rough weather, but I thought we'll give it a crack anyway and see how far we can get. The plane was a plane that I hadn't flown before and ended up, one thing or another, having an alternator failure. Essentially, I didn't turn the alternator on and had to come back to Bankstown with all my electronics out and do the emergency radio failure procedure. Check out the video. It's a bit of a laugh, and in hindsight, it was a really good lesson to learn before the coming flyaways after that. So anyway, got back, and then a week later, a friend of mine, Brett, who we started studying together, took a plane and planned this awesome flyaway. It was sick. So we left Bankstown. For the first day, we flew up to Byron Bay. So followed the coast through the Williamtown controlled airspace, up past or into Port Macquarie, Ballina, Stayed in Byron for the night, which is always a good time. Then the next day we flew over to Broken Hill, or a mate's station near Wilcannia, which was great to see him, and it was a bit of a laugh. And then we flew from there down to Mildura, and I grew up in a town called Renmark, which is across the border from Mildura. And yeah, just had the best day flying around the Murray-Darling. And then we went over the border, but in the air, so we didn't land, didn't break any rules. And swooped my mum and dad's house, and checked out the river, and it was really awesome. That to me felt like a big milestone to be able to go and fly over the hometown. And then after that, we stayed in Mildura, and then continued to head south, where we got all the way down to Moorabbin, Melbourne. Stayed with my brother there, and flew around. Stuffed up some of the procedures going into Moorabbin, and then stayed the night. And then the next day we flew up to the Snowy Mountains and back into Bankstown. So that was a full week of command building. I think I clocked up about 15 or 16 PIC hours. Yeah, it was a hell of a time, and built a lot of confidence as well, because taking the plane away like we did, both us fairly inexperienced pilots, and doing something like that was something that, was a culmination of all the skills that we'd learnt, and putting them into action without anyone there to be able to hold your hand and get you through it, which was cool. So then that left me with about 12 hours of PIC that I needed to do in this module of study. So I planned another flyaway, but this time not taking another pilot, taking a friend and my cousin. We flew up to Byron Bay for the weekend. So this time going inland to Tamworth, controlled airspace there. And then north, we tried to land in Glen Innes, but there was weather. So landed at Inverell, and then flew over the overcast layer of cloud to get over to the coast and land in Ballina. Got fuel in Ballina, and then we went and landed this sick little ALA, which is just next to Byron Bay, Tyagara. Stayed the night in Byron, then went up to pick up my cousins at Murwillumbah, little town just inland from Kingscliff. Went for a fly up past the Gold Coast, and then around back down to Murwillumbah, and stayed the night there. Checked out some of the local breweries and whatnot. It was just awesome to be able to take a plane, fly up to see cousins, stay in Byron Bay for the night, and then essentially try and fly back on the Sunday. When I say try, because we really did just try to fly back. We got caught in some weather, so we had to stay the night in Port Macquarie. But yeah, all in all, another really good test of my confidence and experience in the plane. Yeah, it was really cool to see, because now I completely feel comfortable pretty much planning a flight to anywhere in the country and executing on it in a way that is going to be really safe, and the procedural side of it is going to be relatively on point, or at least I'll be able to figure out how to make those procedures right. So a few things that I did, which was cool, and you probably could take it away if you're watching and you're a pilot, is for the controlled airspace, different maneuvers that we went into. So Tamworth was a bit of an interesting one. I actually rang up the Tamworth Tower before I went out there and just said, look, this is my plan. Am I on point, or should I consider something else, or should I be doing this differently? They gave me a little bit of guidance and ended up going and doing it. It wasn't perfect when I actually did it. It was much better than probably what it would have been if I didn't ring them up and get a little bit of clarification on how they roll. Much the same as the Gold Coast airspace. So I actually rang them up, did a fair bit of planning, took a heap of notes, and then when I went and did it, I still made one little mistake going into controlled airspace. I got clearance, got a code to squawk on the transponder, and then I was a little bit late reporting as I was entering into the actual class, the Class Charlie airspace of the Gold Coast. But because I had everything in place, flight plan, I'd spoken to the tower, like on the phone before I actually took off. They knew that I was coming, and they probably knew that I was a little bit unconfident with entering into controlled airspace like that. So they were fairly accommodating, and there was a little bit of, negative or angst from the control tower, but I think he understood that, it was a new bit of passage that we were doing, and all those things that I had in place beforehand left me, in the right place at the right time, and everything was safe, and everything was just, everything was perfect except for that one little thing going in, which next time I won't do it. So, what do they say? Piss poor preparation makes piss poor performance? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, the key was prepare for things that I had only done for the first time. So that was cool. So yeah, all in all, that month just gone now, and I'd love you to go and check out the videos that I posted of each of the different flights. Racked up about 30 hours pilot in command. All in the first 2 flights in the Warrior 2, and then the second one was in an Archer 2, which is essentially the same at P28A, but just has a little bit more horsepower. Really good experience, and feeling like a lot more of a confident pilot after taking things out into the world essentially, and actually being successful, and then also having some good learning experiences off the back of it, which was really cool. So I'm guessing that if you're in an integrated course, or you're going to go into an integrated course, you'll have a month like this, or a period of time just like this, where you'd be able to take the aircraft, fly around the country, do some cool navigations, test your skills out, land on some cool different ALAs and random landing strips in the middle of the outback or near the coast, which is just great if you are sort of developing your skills. Wraps it up. I will invite you to check out the 3 videos that I've already posted. Give us some feedback. If you're a more experienced pilot and you can see me doing some weird shit, then throw it at me, because I'm just like a sponge at the moment, trying to suck up as much information as I can, learn from other people, and then also become the sort of best pilot that I can during this process of getting my CPL. So yeah, look, thanks for watching, if anyone is watching, and probably the main thing I'd want to ask is, if you are watching and you like the videos, or you'd want to see something a little bit different, or more information on what's involved in the commercial pilot license integrated course that I'm doing, shoot me a comment in the YouTube stuff. I got a really, really lovely message from a guy in the Gold Coast who is doing his CPL as well. Just saying that some of the stuff that I've been posting has been really helpful. Yeah, look, it goes a long way, because the reason I'm doing it is because me 12 months ago was looking for this type of information, not bullshit from schools that have just been posted what they want to advertise, but actually what takes place in the real. And yeah, I'm hoping to be something that people can use in the future to make a decision on whether they want to go forth and do the program wherever they do it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, love to hear your thoughts on some of the flying videos I've been posting. So cheers, happy flying, and next month we're back doing the theory. I've actually got an exam on Thursday, it's now Tuesday, navigation, which had been prolonged for quite a while. So I'm looking forward to getting that out of the way and hopefully getting a mark in the 90s. So yeah, thanks again, happy flying, see you soon.